This thin address, bereft of ideas or purpose, without a guiding principle or a roadmap for delivery, shows just how far this government is from that. Too out of touch to meet the challenges of the moment, too tired to grasp the opportunities of the future. Their time has passed. Mr. Speaker, the first great challenge our country faces is the cost of living crisis. Inflation stands at 7% and rising. Household bills have gone up by hundreds of pounds. The cost of the weekly shop has rocketed, and people are seeing their wages run out much earlier in the month and the value of their savings fall. I wish I could say that the worst is over. But last Thursday, the Bank of England revised down Britain's growth and revised up inflation. This government's failure to grow the economy over a decade, combined with its inertia in the face of spiralling bills, means that we are staring down the barrel of something we haven't seen in decades, a stagflation crisis. It is a truly shocking legacy of this government. It should humble those on the benches opposite who've ignored the red lights on our economy, even whilst wages were frozen for over a decade, and whose complacency is best summed up by a Prime Minister whose response to the crisis was to make fun of those that were worrying about inflation. A government of the moment would use the great powers that it has to tackle this head-on. Bring forward an emergency budget with a windfall tax for oil and gas producers, which would raise billions. The money that could be used to slash the cost of energy bills and help businesses keep their costs down. Even the bosses at BP don't agree when the Prime Minister says it would deter investment. It's a common-sense solution. But instead, the government is bereft of leadership. The Chancellor ruling the windfall tax in, the Business Secretary ruling it out, and a Prime Minister who doesn't know what he thinks. And it's not just about the short-term measures. A government of the moment would take a step back from the crisis and ensure that Britain is never again so vulnerable to a surge in international prices, forced to go cap in hand from dictator to dictator, looking for a quick fix of imported oil. That means standing up to those vested interests who oppose onshore wind, the cheapest and most reliable source of electricity that we have. But this Prime Minister is too weak to stand up to his backbenchers. And it means investing in the insulation we need to use less energy in our homes. That would take £400 off energy bills every year and cut gas imports by 15%. But this Prime Minister is far too concerned with vanity projects ever to prioritise investment in insulating homes. So we're left with an energy bill not up to the moment. It's the latest chapter in a pathetic response to the cost of living crisis. Where there should have been support, it's been tax rise after tax rise on working people. The only country in the G7 to do so during a cost of living crisis. The low growth that led to the stagnation we see today is the same reason wages have been frozen for so long. Over 12 years of Tory government, the economy has grown far slower than when Labour was in power, and it's set to go even slower in coming years. The slowest growing economy in the G7 next year. As the Director General of the CBI said, for a country that's used to growth of 2 to 2.5%, the Conservative record is simply not good enough.